The call came at 2:17 in the afternoon, right when I was staring at my computer screen pretending I wasn't falling apart inside. I almost didn't answer because the name flashing on my phone was someone I worked with every single day, someone who had never called me outside office hours before. But when I picked up, her trembling voice said something that changed the direction of my entire life. I told my family I'd bring my boyfriend home this weekend, and it's you. For a few seconds, I couldn't even understand the words. I just sat there in silence, holding my phone, wondering if I had heard her correctly. My coworker, the person I shared coffee breaks with, the person who knew my struggles but never knew the deepest parts of my heart, was telling me she had told her family that I was the man she loved. My name is Kieran Vale, and before that phone call, my life was nothing like a romantic movie. It was a story of long nights, quiet sacrifices, and learning how to keep moving forward even when nobody noticed how tired I was. I worked at a small design company where deadlines never ended and everyone carried their own hidden battles. To most people, I was just the quiet guy who arrived early, finished his work, and left before everyone else. They didn't know that every morning I woke up wondering if I was doing enough. They didn't know how much pressure I carried from a past that still followed me. And then there was Marissa Rowan. Marissa wasn't the loudest person in the office, but she had a way of making every room feel lighter. She smiled at people who were ignored, helped coworkers who were struggling, and always remembered small details others forgot. She noticed when someone looked exhausted. She noticed when someone needed encouragement. And somehow, she noticed me. At first, we were just coworkers. We talked about projects, shared jokes during lunch, and occasionally stayed late finishing assignments together. But slowly, those ordinary moments became the parts of my day I looked forward to the most. She didn't ask about my past because she was curious. She asked because she genuinely cared. Over time, I told her about the years I spent rebuilding my life after everything collapsed. I told her about losing my confidence, losing people I thought would always stay, and the loneliness that comes from feeling like you have to handle everything alone. Marissa never judged me. She simply listened. But there was one thing I never told her. I never told her that my feelings for her had grown into something deeper. I was afraid. Afraid that if I said something, I would lose the friendship we had. Afraid that I wasn't the kind of person someone like her would choose. She seemed full of hope, while I felt like someone still trying to repair the broken pieces of yesterday. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected moments, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel Echoes of Hope. Your support helps more stories like this reach people who need them. After that phone call, I asked Marissa what she meant. There was a long pause. Then she explained that her family had been asking her for months about her personal life. They wanted to meet the person who had made her smile so much lately. They knew she had been happier, but they didn't know why. She had panicked when her family planned a dinner and asked her to finally bring the person she was dating. The problem was, she wasn't actually dating anyone. Not officially. And somehow, without thinking, she told them she was bringing her boyfriend. Then she realized she had only one name in her mind. Mine. I didn't know whether to laugh, feel shocked, or be scared. Because this wasn't a simple dinner. This was meeting her family. This was stepping into a world where I wasn't sure I belonged. I told her she should correct them. I told her it would be better to explain the truth. But she became quiet. Then she said something I still remember. She said that for the first time in years, she had someone in her life who made her feel safe, respected, and understood. And that person was me. Those words stayed with me. The dinner was 3 days away, and those 3 days felt like 3 months. My mind kept creating reasons why this was a mistake. I imagined her family judging me, asking questions I couldn't answer, seeing everything I thought was wrong with myself. But Marissa kept reminding me that I didn't have to impress anyone. She told me to just be myself. The night of the dinner, I stood outside her family's house for several minutes before knocking. My hands were shaking. I almost walked away. Then Marissa opened the door. She smiled and said she was glad I came. That small moment gave me the courage to step inside. Her family was different from what I expected. They weren't perfect. They weren't like some picture-perfect family from a movie. They laughed too loudly, interrupted each other, argued about small things, and cared deeply. Her mother, Celestine, welcomed me like she had known me for years. Her father, Rowan, was quieter, watching carefully, trying to understand who I was. At dinner, they asked about my work, my dreams, and my life. I answered honestly. I didn't pretend to be someone else. I told them I had made mistakes. I told them I had lost my way before finding myself again. I told them I wasn't someone with a perfect story. But I was someone who knew the value of a person who stayed. The room became quiet. Then Rowan looked at me and said something unexpected. He said that a person's past doesn't define them as much as the choices they make after. For the first time in a long time, I felt like someone saw me. Not my mistakes. Not my failures. Me. But the hardest moment came later. After dinner, Marissa and I sat outside on the porch. The evening air was calm, but my heart was still racing. I asked her why she chose me. She looked surprised. She said she didn't choose me because I was perfect. She chose me because I was real. She said she noticed how I helped people without expecting anything. How I stayed late to finish work others abandoned. How I treated everyone with respect, even when I was struggling myself. I wanted to tell her everything I had been hiding. I wanted to tell her that I had fallen for her. But before I could speak, she smiled and said she had been waiting for me to realize something. She said she didn't just bring me home because she needed someone to pretend. She brought me home because she hoped there could be something real between us. My heart felt like it stopped. For years, I believed love was something meant for other people. People who had everything figured out. People who weren't carrying scars. But standing there with Marissa, I realized maybe love wasn't about finding someone perfect. Maybe it was about finding someone who saw the imperfect parts and stayed anyway. Months passed after that night. Nothing changed instantly. Real relationships aren't built from one magical moment. They're built from patience, honesty, and choosing each other again and again. Marissa and I learned about each other in deeper ways. We had disagreements. We had difficult conversations. We faced moments where old fears returned. But every time life tested us, we remembered that our story started with honesty. A simple phone call. A surprising confession. A chance neither of us expected. Years later, when people asked how we met, Marissa always smiled and said, "It started when I accidentally told my family I had a boyfriend." And I would laugh because it sounded impossible. But sometimes the most beautiful chapters begin in the most unexpected ways. I learned that people don't always enter your life when you are ready. Sometimes they arrive when you are still healing, still growing, still trying to understand yourself. And sometimes the person who changes everything is the person who was quietly standing beside you all along. Before this story ends, I want to ask you something special. Write a comment sharing the kindest thing someone has ever done for you, because your words might remind someone else that kindness still exists in this world. If this story touched your heart, please engage with the video by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Every comment and every share helps these stories reach people who may need a little hope today. Because sometimes, one unexpected call isn't just a call. Sometimes, it's the beginning of a completely new life.